You guys ready?
Awesome, guys. Welcome once again to the Tuesday night Cash Flow Empire Call live podcast where we like to talk about the dirty, the ugly, the truth, just about everything, guys. Up until this point, we've talked a lot of real estate, we've talked a lot of fundraising, we've talked a lot of on how is it that there's different types of investments. And tonight we do have some special guests who are just I like to consider it some big whales in the industry when it comes down to raising capital. We got our good friend Steve Mike, who, in the span of 14 months, raised $165 million. And you got that right, 165. And that's just incredible. That sounds like so far away. And I mean, that being said, I mean, let me bring Mike and Steve to the stage. If you guys want to introduce yourselves really quick, and for those that don't know who you are.
Steve, you want to go first?
After you, my friend.
All right,
Lead the way.
My name is Mike Ghorbani. My partner Steve. We work together here at King Operating. Before I get into King, Steve, say hello, and I'll start blabbing.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our call. We can't wait to engage with you.
Appreciate that. Before we even get started, the first thing that I'd like to suggest, if you don't have a pen, grab a pen and a sheet of paper. I know we're going to be going over some stuff. We want to be fully transparent. We are very grateful for Sergio and Jonathan to have us. And any questions, any, whatever interaction, we're transparent, we're available. Is it okay if I give my number out, Sergio? All right. Any questions you have, shoot me a text if you don't mind. Let me know who you are, your name, what you do, what function. My number, even though I'm in Dallas, I lived in Vegas 15 years, so I still have my Vegas number. My wife made me move, but I kept it because I'm in denial. I'm still the boss. It's 702-600-4133. And again, my name is Mike, and it's 702-600-4133. Let's get started. I mean, we work for a company called King Operating. King's been around for 28 years. We're part of 4 generations of oil and gas. What makes us unique in our space is that we're set up like a syndication, and no one else in our space is set up like that. Whereas you would go out and get just a piece of one well, with us, you actually have a share of every asset. Our office is comprised of probably 70 people. We have a land guy here, an attorney. We have an ex-IRS agent, that specializes in oil and gas to answer any questions. So we have the whole kit and caboodle. We are precautionary. We have a focus on capital preservation. And what differentiates us, again, is that you guys, whomever invests with us, has a piece of the asset. As for raising capital, I mean, we deal with a lot of guys. I mean, we deal a lot of syndicators like Jonathan. I don't know if you've heard of Grimes, Peter. Is it Peter Grimes, right? Steve?
Patrick. Yeah.
Patrick Grimes. Sugo Capital is Sarah Sullivan. She brought probably 12 million. I mean, some of these syndicators are, they're monsters, and it's a great diversification for their current clients. So there's also a familiarity that kind of mirrors what they're doing anyways, because we acquire property, we scale it, and we sell it. You get a field, you throw an oil rig on there, it becomes an oil field. It goes up in value. It starts doing oil and gas, it goes up in value. So we continuously increase that value. And at some point, just like you guys in the syndication world, we sell a piece, everybody gets their money back. And even after they get their money back, they still hold a 60 to 70% interest in the asset, and we're going to sell it in 3 to 5 years. And we're shooting for a 2 to a 2.5x. So right now, anybody that's bullish on oil and gas, with the wars we got going on, all the turmoil going on, across, in the other countries, and the 2 pipelines that are sabotaged, the bombings of the ship in the Red Sea, which is creating transportation problems, with this administration putting regulatory situations on what's going on here, we stay away from federal land. So the price is going to go up. That's what we feel. We have some major players. there's another guy, as a matter of fact, Steve Neal Bawa. What's the name of his firm?
Grow Capitus.
Grow Capitus. That's another one, major player. And your boys here, Jonathan and Sergio, I mean, they're on their way right now. They've grown by leaps and bounds since last year. And I think it's a blessing. These guys are hustlers, and that they're doing some serious raising. So, for us, it's basically, obviously, you're hitting the phones. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You got to get people, find out what their interests are and allocate them to the best position possible. For us, we go to every event we can. Some of the events we had booths, we'll put out money. Steve, how much did the firm pay for what is that? The one in Tennessee, Freedom Fest.
Oh, Freedom Fest. Yeah, I think about 16,000 for that one conference.
So, you're going to spend money to make money. You know what I mean? You don't have to do that. These guys know me. I go to conferences. I don't have a booth, but I can't shut up. I keep talking. I meet everybody. So, I mean, developing relationships is key, in my humble opinion. You want to get as many names, as many numbers as you can, try to be memorable, hit these people up right away. And for us, I mean, it's just, I love to hear what people do. I'd love to hear what they're doing, because for us, if we have, and I'm just being honest, and Steve, you'll agree with me, not everybody jumps in oil and gas. They just don't. So if they don't, we try to qualify them and pass them on to something that they want to do, whether it's storage, to Jonathan, to, properties, whatever it is. We try to work with people that help us. We want to reciprocate that. So another thing we do as well is we offer a finder's fee. So, for example, in this scenario here, any of you guys have any questions, that we might not cover tonight, you reach out to us. Anybody that knows accredited investors, syndicators, give us a call. You'll have an advisory agreement with us where anybody that you bring, you'll make a percentage. And we're firm believers that everybody at the table has to eat, and we treat people the way we want to be treated. So anything that happens, we just had a webinar prior to this. I don't know, Jonathan, Sean Griffith, right? Yeah, Sean's another big syndicator. We had a webinar with him. Yeah, so
we're really close. Yep.
yeah, everybody's got to make money, and we consider that a blessing. So with that kind of philosophy, that we have, be fair, be honest, be transparent. You come to the office, you call us anytime. We're always available. If somebody calls us that Jonathan refers, trust me when I tell you, he's going to get the first call. He's going to get an email. He's going to know every step of the way of what's going on, because we treat people like we want to be treated in business and know everything that's happening. So, Steve, did I miss anything? I mean, it's comfort level in relationships.
Exactly.
Yeah, and just so you know, in just an overall kind of a comment that November, December, because of our tax benefits, having 100% tax deduction year one, whether you're active or passive, up to 85%, has done wonders to promote our project. I think in December of last year, Steve, what do we do? 25, 27 million?
About north of 26. Yeah.
Yeah. So in 1 month. So, it's putting your best foot forward. And again, I that's really what I got, or what I could tell you. I mean, off of what we do. Steve, did I miss anything?
No, if I can chime in, just if you don't mind, I'm gonna kind of fill in the blanks here, and I'm gonna just for the audience here, I'm gonna approach things a little differently. So, and as Mike expressed, King's a big relatively big. Been in business 27 years. If you were to come to our office here, it's quite impressive. We're compared to the folks that are listening right now. The point I'm trying to make is we're probably substantially larger than any of you. And I don't say that in a braggadocious way. The reason I point that out is I'd like for you to take away from this call some things that you can start utilizing first thing tomorrow morning. And so I'm going to take it in a little different direction. And I'm going to talk about the smaller operation, if you don't mind. And the smaller operation idea is rather near and dear to me. 6.5 years ago, my wife and I started and built and ultimately sold a small business. And so when Mike brought up this opportunity, I got to thinking, what did Pamela and I do immediately to really address, and the core of this conversation is about relationships, right? So what did Pamela and I do immediately to really focus on building relationships, or even another way of saying it, building a customer base? So there are three things I'd like to share with you, and I think these three items apply to everybody on this call, whether you're a one-person shop, a 10-person shop. You don't have to be king. You don't have to have 70 employees to implement these three strategies. So the first strategy is, I would suggest that you identify who your audience is, who is your client, and I would write it down. And here's the reality. So as many personalities as are represented here today, I'm sure some of you are very engaging and very contagious. The reality is you can only talk to so many people in a given workday, okay? No matter what your talent level is. So you need to really refine, what is it that I'm going to do on a daily basis? Who are my customers? What is the target? And what you're going to find is, if you write all this down, you'll realize there are certain demographics that you're targeting. By demographics, I mean people who live in a certain zip code, people who have a certain income, people who have certain hobbies and traits. You'll find that in our business, as an example, a lot of our clients go to conferences and they participate in investment clubs. So you want to be a part of that, okay? Number two is prioritize the centers of influence in that area that you're working. Going back to this little business we started. So one of the things we did is we got to be really friendly with the HOAs, the homeowner associations in the neighborhoods where we were working. By the way, this, I should have mentioned earlier, this was an outdoor living business. It was not finance, not investments. We built pergolas and sunrooms, hot tubs, that sort of thing. So you're probably wondering, well, why were the HOAs so important to our success? Well, HOAs know everything that's going on in a given neighborhood. They know who has applied for a hot tub, who has applied for a swimming pool. They have all that information. And you'll find in the finance business, it's the same way. It's the same way in every business. There will be centers of influence who give you a lot of clues and divulge secrets that your competitors are overlooking. I promise. Lifestyle. So I mentioned conferences. In the finance world, a lot of our folks go to conferences, and they even spend a lot of their weekend time at conferences. So it just makes sense to us. We want to be at those conferences. Lastly, be visible and ask for introductions. And I will tell you, my friend Michael's great at this. So being visible is just simply, I heard a saying many, many years ago, 80% of success is just showing up. And it's so true. Just be visible. And you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You don't have to be the best dressed. Just show up, be yourself, and listen. And that's something I think as a culture here in this office, we try to do a lot of, and that's listening. You're going to garner so much information about your prospect if you'll simply listen. Asking for introductions and referrals is huge. Again, there are only so many hours in the day. You're going to need to leverage your time. And the best way to leverage that time is simply asking the person you're visiting with if they know of anybody else that would benefit from this service. It's very simple. That's all you do. Just, do you know of anybody else that might have an interest in the service we just spoke about? And you'll be surprised how many names and phone numbers you get from that. That's all I have to offer. I just wanted to give you a quick blueprint on how to get started. And again, we realize that not all of you have 27 years of experience and a great big fancy office, and you don't have to have all that. As long as you just follow the key principles, you're going to do great.
Love
And
it, Steve.
yep,
That was good. That was amazing. I took notes in here, and then so you guys are basically leveraging the company, right? 28 years of your company and everything, right? And also you are in a industry that works. So you guys are using those things, and now. But I want to go back a little bit
yeah,
at your beginning, right? So because when you get into the position that you are right now, right, about bringing investors in, I want to know a little bit more about your beginnings, when probably you were not known, you didn't have branding, you didn't know a lot of people that could be investors, right? So was that scary for you? And if it was, so how do you overcome that fear and get into talking to people about investing?
now I just want to clarify the question. Are you asking about King or business in general?
Yeah, you guys deal with a lot of new investors that come to
Yep.
you, right? So how was
Yep.
your beginning? How did you start actually to bring investors into your business?
Yeah, so we try to gather as much intelligence as we possibly can before we make that first touch. A touch can be a phone call, it can be an email, it can be a text. They're all different types of touches, but we try to prepare for that initial touch, and we try to anticipate what, and we've talked, as Michael will attest, we've talked a lot the past couple of weeks. We have a morning meeting every morning, and the topic of that meeting lately has been why. WHY. Why would anybody want to visit with us? Why would anybody want to look at our product? So again, back to your question, Jonathan, we spent a lot of time and energy addressing why, and then we engage in that touch, and we just let it flow. I mean, again, we live in a world of reality. There are not two calls that are ever the same, ever. Every engagement is different. So we just try to be as prepared as we can. We try to anticipate objections. If we know that they've looked at a competitor, we try to gain all the knowledge we can about that particular competitor. I don't know how many folks on the call here are familiar with the Boy Scout program, but there's an old saying in Boy Scouts: preparation prevents poor performance. And that's true. It's very true in business. So we just prepare a lot, and we keep the why, that word why, in the forefront at all times. Why would they buy from us? Why are they having this conversation? Why aren't they talking to a competitor right now? And you could go on and on the whys, but it's really important to explore the whys.
And one other thing on that Steve struck on, which a mission statement is actually pretty powerful as well. Why are you doing what you're doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we are proud that we're drilling American oil on American soil. And that might sound hokey, but in Dallas, I've literally seen a sign. I don't know, I can't recall. I mean, I'm new to the area, but there was a sign that said, you know, buy oil from Texans and not terrorists. You know what I mean? And that kind of resonates with someone that they might listen a little more intently, you know, if they're on that same passionate path. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, no, I took notes in here. So you guys are, you need to be prepared. You need to know your numbers, right? And all those things, right? You need to believe in your business, right? Know your why people will look to invest with you guys in your industry, in your business, right? I mean, those are the things that I see why you guys are successful. I mean, 165 million in matter of, you know, a little bit over a year. I mean, that's impressive, right? That's impressive. So congratulations, guys, for everything you have been accomplished so far in your career, right?
And you know, Steve made a big point. I mean, just taking a second and you know, getting to know someone before you reach out to them. And you know, one thing I've learned in sales is you always ask about them first because after you tell them, after they tell you, you're going to gauge what their wants are, what their needs are. And then if you tell them what you're doing secondary, it stays with them a little more. You know what I mean? Let them tell you what they need. Like there's some guys that you know that are financial high-end guys. Steve has handled billions back in the day when he was in financial services. You know, if I have a tech guy, me and Steve will bring in one of the other guys in the office to help assist with that just by looking him up and seeing what his background is. So that's actually pivotal what he said. That I apologize, I passed over, but that's great advice. Know who you're talking to.
Mm, that's good. That's good. I love it. I love it. So at this point, guys, you know, now you're talking, okay, objections, right? So you guys can give us some examples because, you know, again, people are just, they're gonna learn here, right? So how are those conversations are looking like? You know, people are like, you know, the main objections are like, okay, let me think about it, right? So let me, you know, maybe later, you know, I don't have time right now to take a look at those.
I'm gonna
So
let, yeah, I'm
go
gonna
ahead.
let Steve handle this. The theory that I have personally is that everybody I talk to, I try to envision that they have endless supply of money. They have an endless pocketbook. That's who I'm talking to. Because if the deal is right, they will find the money for it. When it comes to technical issues in reference to you know what you're saying, Steve, what do you think the most common objections are for at least our industry?
Well, one very common objection is I'm not accredited. And there's obviously not a whole lot we can do about that. We get other objections, you know, well, what is your minimum investment? And we've actually, and I hope you understand, some of this is somewhat confidential. We wouldn't want our competitors to know exactly what we're doing at all times, but on the minimum investment, we've actually lowered it lately to 50,000. It used to be 100, and we're kind of evaluating how that's going to work, and the jury's still out, truthfully, but that could be an objection. Price, just call it price, whatever your price
Yeah.
is. That's always a lightning rod. And you will never hear, oh, that's too low. It's always too high. You could quote a nickel, that's too high.
Yep.
I mean, you all know that. So
That's good. That's good. I love it. So, what are the strategies? Because I see you guys going to, you know, you take people out for dinner. You know, you make sure that you follow up with them, right? So you stay on top of that. Just it's because follow up, and I'm gonna be honest, guys. I mean, that takes a lot of time. I mean, sometimes even to have an investor, it could take you years. You know, just to make sure that, you know, people are coming back to you and I say, okay, I'm ready, right? But in order for these people to be ready, you need to be doing a constant follow up, right?
100%. Jonathan, you're lucky I don't have your home address. I called you every day. I mean, I would have stopped by your house if I knew where you lived. Okay. I mean, you got to do that because, you know, if people, you know, there's got to be a justifiable objection. If there's not, to me, that means that you don't know enough about our program. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong. Again, I get that real estate or oil and gas may not be for everybody, you know, at that particular time. You know, some people are scared. I had a guy that objected that and Steve, maybe I handled this wrong. I didn't know what to say, but he had a point. He said, right now, he goes, I'm not saying no, but I am uncomfortable because there's no reason in the world why gas prices should be or oil prices should be where they're at.
Yeah.
That is a legit thing. I mean,
Yeah.
last year gas prices were at $9 for natural gas. Our investors were making over 20%. Today they're at $1.78. Yet we're transporting them to Europe and selling it for like 20 bucks because that's what's making this economy and the GDP look great. You can't, there's nothing I could say, you know, but if the guy says, you know what, I'm uncertain about the tax advantage. I don't know how I would utilize that. A legitimate objection. We have the crew, we have the staff, we have someone that's an expert, a lifelong ex-IRS agent. I could get on the phone with his CPA in my office. You know, I had recently something, and you know, this might be another thing that you have to know your limitations. I am not a geologist. I just had a couple engineers that invested, I think it was just one unit. They did a couple 100,000, but they wanted to talk to our geologist. And this conversation that they had, Jonathan, above my pay grade. There was nothing I could contribute talking about the geology and certain things and the logs that they were discussing. So, I mean, I'm grateful for the staff that we have here. I mean, it's insanely powerful, the crew that we have. And, you know, I think you gotta pass the buck. There's no pride, you know, and if I ask you about some kind of you know, construction aspect of your building or whatever, you don't know it. You got to bring in, you know, somebody that does, like Sergio or whomever, to answer those kind of questions. So
That was good. That was good. You just proven the concept right now about, yeah, you don't need to know everything in a deeper level, right? So you need to be just familiar, but you just
it's
bring
your
your
team,
teammate.
man.
Yeah,
It's your
teammate.
team.
That's it. So they was really good. I want to talk about a little bit about fear, guys, because like oil and gas industry, sometimes it goes in a down level, sometimes in going up and down, right? So sometimes there are moments of uncertainty, people are scared, right? So the same is happening in real estate, cycles, right? So how do you guys overcome the challenges when the economy and the oil and gas industry is going down? Because we're having the same thing in real estate. So how do you prepare for you in those moments, and what are you doing in order to still bring investors and close deals in general?
Mike, do you mind if I handle this one?
Was already
Uh,
with.
well, thank you. So again, I have a tendency to kind of take things off in a different direction every now and then. So bear with me just a moment. I'm going to answer your question, Jonathan, in somewhat of a creative way. So just I ask everybody to kind of bear with me. So I'm going to share a screen with you. I promise this is not a sales presentation. Promise. I'm just simply drawing an example here. Okay, can everybody see this? Hello?
No yet. No yet.
Oh, can everybody see the screen?
No.
No.
Oh, okay. Bear with me. Sorry. Let's try this one more time. Yep, here we go. There's a point on. Everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I promise this is not a sales presentation. This is something though that I think is very important. So let me move some things around so I can move my slide here. We're going to go to a particular slide, Jonathan, that addresses your question about fear. Okay, so just hang with me, folks. All right. So fear. I would recommend strongly that all of you keep records. And by that, I mean, when you talk to somebody, if you have a contact management system of some kind, enter your notes electronically. If you don't have that, I still use a notepad. If you were in my office right now, you would see several notepads I keep going at all times. I'm a note freak. Now, why do I do that? So it's really important you know your closing ratio. Okay. So by definition, what is a closing ratio? So here's what I know because I've been keeping notes most all my life. I know if 10 people look at this slide, okay, 10 people, I know that 3 are going to purchase. And I know that 7, for whatever multitude of reasons, are going to say no in some way. They may, as Mike was pointing out a minute ago, they may say maybe, or they may say not today. But the bottom line is, I know if I can get this slide in front of somebody, I just know 30% of the folks I show this slide to are going to sign on the dotted line. I know that. So you probably are asking, well, what's that got to do with fear? I accept every time I touch a client in any way, I accept that there is a higher probability of a no than of a yes. I know that going in. One, I'm old and I've been doing this a long time and I've heard a lot of no's. And I know I'm going to hear a lot of no's tomorrow. I'm going to hear a lot of no's Thursday. I'm going to hear a lot of no's on Friday. But guess what? Again, if I show this slide 10 times, 3 people are going to say yes. And here's the deal, folks. I can make a really good living, and so can you if 30% of your prospects agree and say yes. You can make a really good living. So, and I'm not picking on you, Jonathan, but the fear word, what are you afraid of? I'm telling you, you're going to hear 70% of the time people they either don't like the product, they may not like you. Surprise, okay? They may not. You may not. Quick story, and I'm getting way off here. Some of you may know who Ross Perot is, and so I went to college at Baylor, and Ross Perot sends down a van, and those of you who don't know who Ross Perot is, he actually ran for president, and he founded a company here in the Dallas area called EDS. And so anyway, Ross Perot sent a van down to Baylor, and there were about 9 or 10 of us that were lucky enough to get an interview with Ross Perot. And I'll never forget, during that interview, Ross Perot looked at me. The first thing he said to me is, "Your hair's too long." Second thing he said to me is, "Those sideburns have to go." And the third thing he said to me is, "You can wear any color shirt you want here as long as it's white." Okay. So, you talk about fear. Now here's a guy that has already told you he doesn't like the way you look. All right. Doesn't like the color shirt you have on. The interesting thing about that is I got a job offer. I ended up not going with Ross Perot, but that's a whole different matter. My point is that not everybody's going to like you and accept you. Okay. It's not the end of the world. In case you're wondering what you're looking at, and then we'll move on, and I'll turn it back to you, Jonathan. What you're looking at here is, and again, I would recommend strongly you do this. You need one piece, whether it be a slide, a handout, maybe it's something on your business card. You need something that tells your story. Okay, this is our story right here. It's condensed. It's simple. I promise if each of you would give me 5 or 6 minutes of your time, I could make you an expert at this story in 5 or 6 minutes. It's that simple, and you want it to be that simple. So what's the story? If you invest with King, here's what we will deliver to you. 100% tax write-off. So we're going to reduce your tax burden. We're going to provide you monthly passive income. On or about the 28th of each month, you're going to get a deposit into your bank account. The deposit's going to range somewhere between 8 and 12% annualized. And then lastly, somewhere between year 4 and 5, by the way, this is a 5-year journey with King, somewhere between year 4 and 5, we're going to sell all the assets, all the leases, all the wells, and we're going to return all your money to you. If you invested $200,000 with us, which by the way is a full unit, our projection is you will have $520,000 of walkaway money after year 5. That's the story. And again, I just want to remind you, 70% of the people are not going to like this story for whatever reason. And the real question is, do you care? Do you really care? Are you, back to the fear, are you really going to get hung up on, well, did I have the right color shirt on? And did I say this right? Or could I have done this better? Just trust the numbers, folks. Trust the numbers. And I will escape from this slide. And Jonathan, thanks for indulging me there. I hope that wasn't terribly boring, but it just kind of speaks to why be afraid? That's the bottom line. Why be afraid?
Love it, man. And before I go to Tiago, it's just please, guys, take notes, right? I mean, Steve was talking about how the industry works, returns, and everything, but things like this you can apply in your own journey, right? Like your signature talk, right? Because attention right now, you heard this many times. Okay, attention is shorter right now, so you need to make sure that you are using the right tools, the right talk to people, because otherwise you will lose them, right? So that was really powerful, Steven. Thank you. I mean, like you say, 5, 6 minutes. I understand, how that works, right? Simple as that. And then appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that. But go ahead, Tiago, man. Welcome to the call. You have your question.
Yeah, hey, how you doing, guys?
How you
Was
doing?
really insightful, all the information there. If I heard right, you guys raised $126 million in a year. Is that correct?
165 in about 14 months.
Okay. Well, I never heard those numbers. It's the first time. You guys probably did something that not many people are doing out there. And what do you guys attribute the success of the capital raising in a short period of time? Is it the network you guys had prior and you tapped into the network? Is it a career network you had in a different institution? What would you say? I know that's several things you guys tapped into a resource, but what was the major one that brought so much capital into the company?
Michael, it's your turn, buddy.
It's for me, to be honest with you, and I'm saying this humbly, I think we all have a skill, in assets. Mine is to go out and meet people. You know what I mean? See if there's any kind of synergy in a networking capacity where all parties benefits. And if they do, there's individuals in my office, there's 10 of us that are SVPs, senior VPs. I allocate those people, I hand them off. For us, we work as a team. Steve is my guy. So I know Steve's financial background that he's very modest about, but this man has had more experience than you could shake a stick at. So, it's not about the money for us. It's about the success. So whatever you need to do to hand it off, work with someone, work with a team, meet people. I'm telling you, this is my strength. Every time I go out, I'm, like that movie, Glenn Ross, always be closing. That's me. That's what I do. I go out, every time I go out, I guarantee you, I'll get 2 to 3 business cards. I'll make sure everybody in that restaurant, that bar, that conference, sees my face, shakes my hand if I can. You know, it's a funny story. When I was in Charlotte, during that conference, I met, I think it was 118 people over the course of 2 days. I got cards. And again, not everybody invested, but I called my wife. She's like, "How you doing?" I go, "My feet hurt." She goes, "Don't be a girl. Get back to work." You know, you need that too. So, but yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but you'd be amazed. You meet somebody, just like Steve said, that person might know somebody else. You know, you never know. You never know. So I think what Steve said is imperative. Second tiered relationships are amazing. I mean, that what Jonathan is doing is bringing us to you. Jonathan has an open mind. He knows that, you know, God willing, God bless, either some of you guys bring us clients, invest with us. We're all going to prosper as a group. And that's what makes our model so beautiful, in my opinion. Steve, did I answer that
Oh,
relatively?
as part, and I would add, a little bit, you know, a little credit to our management team here. And that may sound a little funny, you know, a sales guy complimenting his manager. But I sincerely mean this. So we're very goal driven here, and and we talk about our goals openly. And every morning in our 9 o'clock meeting, we discuss what we think's going to happen, what we hope's going to happen. You know, we're just we make ourselves vulnerable, I guess is the best way to put it, and it works. You know, I'll tell you, if you want to try this out, um, and this is very simple and kind of elementary, but it works. So whatever it is that you're thinking about daily, it could be a bass boat, okay? It could be a hot tub. It could be a brand new custom suit, right? A $1,500 custom suit, whatever it is. It might be something for your wife or your kids. Whatever that item is, clip a little picture of it. And I know you've heard this before, but just tape that picture to your bathroom mirror, and you will be amazed at how quickly you will achieve that, as long as it's reasonable. I mean, you know, you're not going to go out and buy a Learjet next month, but as long as it's something reasonable, I promise you'll achieve it. And there's just a lot of power in goal setting. And I would really encourage everybody on a daily basis, think about what you're trying to accomplish, both today and for the month. And we share. I mean, we again, we make ourselves vulnerable. You know, I tell Mike what my number is. He tells me what his number is. What's interesting is about the third week of the month, you know, I'll ask Mike, "How you doing?" And he may say, "Hey, I've already hit my number," or he may say, "I'm not quite there." He'll ask me the same thing, "How you doing?" That's called accountability, and it works. So that's all I have to say about that. But goal setting is hugely important.
That was
Fantastic.
great.
Appreciate it for the answer.
That was a good question, Tiago, man. Appreciate that. And that was a good
Yeah,
answer,
very
guys.
good
That was a
question.
good answer. Oh, go ahead, Michael. Welcome to the call, man. Good to see you.
Thank you. Steve, Michael, thanks for coming out. This has been super informational, and I know you guys are very busy men, so I appreciate this. You guys mentioned a lot about the team and group aspect of what you guys do. So what are key attributes that you look for in people when you're hiring or looking for business partners?
That is an outstanding question. Um, Michael, oh, there you are. I lost you in the squares here. Sorry. Go, buddy. You take that, and then I have an answer too. But go first, please.
What kind of attributes do we look for as like a component of our team?
Yeah, so I guess it could be the twofold question, either when you're looking for business partners or when you're looking to hire people on to your team specifically, if those key features are different.
Okay, I mean, from business partners, we have several different agreements. We have agreements where people just refer, somebody to us and they will get a flat fee for that. And what we try to do is we try to coach them. And this isn't a shot at anybody, but it's some people haven't encountered what we do. So we do our best to coach them and maximize their success because obviously, because it's be relative to what we're doing as well. You know, as for the team, I mean, our team it's crazy diverse. We have an angel investor here who's an IT tech guy that has one of the largest, um, it's called Modern CTO. I mean, one of the largest CTO things. Uh, our boss, Eric Rice, used to take biotech companies public, and his entire position here is just to learn what's going on politically, geopolitically, how it affects us. So it's really a diverse team internally, if that's what you're asking me, unless I heard the question wrong. So I think, the more you surround yourself, whether it's investment groups or whomever, to get that lay of the land on multiple levels, I mean, it's an asset. It only helps you if I'm answering that correctly.
Yeah, so yeah, so that's an answer. That's a good answer. So you're saying like different perspectives can help you open up your mind to different opportunities, I guess if I'm reading that correctly.
You know what? Absolutely. I join, it's for me, I have a diversification of syndication groups. Obviously, real estate is our biggest one because it mirrors exactly what the syndicators are doing. I mean, you guys are looking at providing people with a return, their capital back, and a multiple on exit, which is exactly what we're doing. So it's relatable, and you're doing it by scaling, acquiring, scaling, and divesting. Liquidity events, get everybody paid. But what makes us unique is that, I mean, recently I brought a group of engineers. I have two doctor syndications that are coming on board. I have a real estate group that just builds nothing but storage and family offices. So the more diverse you get, and again, the point of fear that Jonathan brought up, never think, because these guys are all out of my element. But you have a conversation, you know what I mean? You create some kind of relationship right off the bat, non-threatening. All you want to do is network, you know, and you take it to that next level. And if you can't, get someone who can. And that's why Steve's on. I know what you were thinking. I just brought him around because of his good looks. That's not the case. I love you, buddy. But
I love you too, Michael. Well, Michael, still, imagine this. I have a little different answer. So clients first. So I'm looking here at the faces on the screen and I see all different ages, right? And so I will tell you, back earlier in my career, had you asked me, back when I was 30 years old, let's say, if you had asked me, what's the number one requirement for a prospect for you? I would tell you, if they can fog a mirror, they're a prospect. It's so fog a mirror test, right? No, I'm serious. I mean, there's a point in everybody's life, and many of you on this call are probably in the fog a mirror stage, okay? And I'm not trying to be humorous. It again, it's reality. It's how you pay your bills. As you age and as you gain a little confidence, and back to Jonathan's fear word, as you minimize fear, what will happen, and it's a wonderful thing, by the way, you start to really dial in on people you want to like. And by that, I mean, do they snow ski? Do they have kids my kids' age? What's their background? And that's a biggie with me. I don't mind. I was dirt poor as a kid, and I tend to really relate well with people who say to me, "I didn't have a pot to pee in as a kid," and I love to hear that. When they say that, I know we're going to be friends forever. And so my point is, it kind of depends on where you are in your career and your age. But I think what you'll find as you mature, you tend to gravitate to those traits that are most like you. Early on, you'll gravitate to anything. You know. Second part of your question, and I love your question, by the way. You know, what do we look for around here when we're looking for team members? And I think if you went up and down the hall, everybody would have a different answer. My answer would be grit, GRIT. So what you'll find about raising capital, and Michael will agree with me, this is not a 5-day deal. Okay, you're not going to work 5 days a week. You're gonna work at least 5.5, maybe 6. I try not to work on the Sabbath. That's a personal deal, but you're going to work hard, and hopefully you enjoy the work. And if you do, that working hard feels a little better. But grit is really important in raising capital. You're going to go to conferences and you're going to work long hours. You're going to stand on your feet all day. Your ankles are going to hurt. You're going to be starving. You haven't eaten all day. All those things are going to happen. So I personally, and I try to embed this in I have a 24-year-old son, and I'm really trying to teach him the power of grit. Just grinding it through day in, day out. Again, 80% of success is showing up and just be a grinder. And I think those types of people do really well in finance.
I mean, look at what we're doing. I'm 58. Steve's like 127. It's
Yeah.
8 o'clock. Still working.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. That was I love those answers. I love those answers. Thank
Hey,
you.
you know what? I just want to throw out an exercise for everybody. Next time you guys go out, whether it's a restaurant, bar, conference, pick a guy. Pick a guy that you see that you think, you know, he might have potential for you in whatever capacity. It doesn't, just go see if you could get this guy's card. Try to, you don't have to close him, just meet him. Get outside of your, you know what I mean? Get outside of that comfort level. I have that. I don't care. You know what I mean? I go up to everybody. But, you know, I realize it's not that, but try that. Try that, you know, I mean, what's going to happen? You know, the first few times I did it, I got hit, but I got up. No, I'm kidding. I didn't get hit. But, you know, it's you know, it's something. Challenge yourself. Steve's right. Grit. Only an answer a Texan would give. I love it.
Excellent. That was good. That was a good call and just valuable information. We are at the top of the hour. We do want to respect you guys. You know, we know you guys are still at the office. But any final 3 pieces of advice that y'all could give us just before we wrap this call up? It could be about anything. It can be about life. It could be about raising. It could be about just anything that comes to your mind that could really just be extremely valuable to us.
You know, my theory is simple. I mean, just make sure you laugh a few times a day and embrace family. Life is short. You know, everything else will fall into place. If you're smiling along, you know, your journey, it's tough to get a bad ending. You know, Steve?
Well, I'm going to read, by the way, you can't see this. I have a whiteboard. All of us here have whiteboards, and I'm going to read something that I put on my whiteboard about a month ago, and it kind of goes back to grit. And, you know, again, I hope I've impressed upon all of you. This is not easy. It is just not easy. If it's easy, you're doing something wrong. So I on my board here, James 1:2. This is out of the Bible. I tend to be a little spiritual. My writing on the wall here says, "Consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kind." So there are several times during my week, during my month, where I find myself reading that, and I have to remind myself that this valley I'm in is really joyful. And so I'll leave you with that. I mean, Working's not easy, but it can be very rewarding, and you can help a lot of people. And just remember, when you're feeling down, that it's actually biblical, that suffering's a good thing. Just remember that.
I needed to hear that tonight, man. I got some personal things I'm dealing with.
We all do, Sergio. We all do, man. And God bless you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir,
God
man.
bless.
Thank you, everybody. I think that was a hell of a way to really just end the call. Man, just know that, you know, this ain't easy. Nothing is easy. There's gonna be some tribulations, some valleys we got to get through. But like both of my gentlemen here said tonight, I mean, smile through it, be happy. If it was easy, it wouldn't, everybody would do it.
Yeah.
Here we are trying to be different, trying to do something big, and just enjoy the ride, right? Is what I got from it, and be happy about it. But guys, I really do appreciate you guys coming out and, just talking to us. And I did put Mike's phone number, just to be clear. Mike's phone number is 702-600-4133. If anybody that's watching this right now that's live with us, or who's going to watch this call in the near future, that's Mike Ghorbani's number. You can get a hold of them for any type of questions of what they currently got going on, what they're working on. They got some huge, nice things going on. I'm pretty sure that we're going to be doing something with them here in the near future. So, guys, I mean, there you have it. I appreciate that, y'all, for coming tonight, and that really consists this call tonight. Thank you so much.